Alright guys, so super spur of the moment walk around. I've had quite a few people asking me what's all done to my car. I like to say it's stage one plus a bunch of goodies. So the way I'm going to do this is air goes in, air comes out. That's just the way I'm going to order this so I don't forget anything. And if I do forget something, I'll put it down in the description. Or if you guys see anything that I forgot to list off, I'll put it in the description box. So I am from Texas. I don't live there anymore, but I'm from Texas, and bigger is better over there, so I'm keeping that tradition with a huge K&N air filter. I actually ordered the wrong size, but it worked, so I kept it. Next, I got the Cobb cold air intake. I've had to modify, obviously, because the filter's way too big. Measure twice, cut once, guys, for sure. Don't order the wrong parts if you can help it. But this works. I actually like it. Then we got a coupler, stock air inlet, stock turbo. So nothing crazy going on so far. We've got the ETS front mount intercooler kit with the 3-inch core. I have cut the bumper like so to get that sucker in there to fit. But yeah, this thing, I mean, I'm in South Florida. There's no real heat soak issues with this front mount. I know a couple other companies make top mounts that are really good, and I could have went that route. It would have been cheaper and everything, but I know that I'm going to end up doing some stuff to this car, and I would just rather buy the part once, since the downfall of a front mount versus a top mount is not enough for me to consider buying a top mount and then doing an aftermarket turbo and then needing to buy a front mount, selling the top mount and taking the, the loss and all that. So anyway, so yeah, and I've painted this a Walmart paint color, if you call it that. It's Rust-Oleum purple. I might link it down there if you guys like it enough. Done the same on the battery tie down and the boost controller cover. Speaking of the boost controller, I've got a Cobb 3-port boost control solenoid up under there. I've also got a Go Fast Bits bypass valve. It's the Respawns style, so you can adjust it. You can adjust how much is going back to the inlet and how much is going out to atmosphere. It's a good valve. I actually bought this one on Amazon, and it's for the older model, but it works just the same. And the only problem I found with it is that these bolts right here, they've given you hardware for it, but I'm running obviously aftermarket stuff, so the hardware they gave you basically is beveled, and these bolts aren't beveled, so I might have to run a washer in there. But it was much cheaper than buying the one that's made for this one, because for whatever reason they hiked up the price. It's the same exact part, it's just the plate down here is a little different. That's literally it. So I might link that down there. I do like this valve. I had one of these things on my last car, which was the 2015 WRX that you guys possibly saw. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Oh, also having to do with air, I've got an IAG air to oil separator. And I checked on this the other day because I saw another, I believe it was my WRX channel, did a review on his with the WRX, and his was basically bone dry, the intercooler piping and everything. I did the same thing to mine. Intercooler piping was bone dry. The drain was a little wet. So it is working. It's absolutely working. It does what it's supposed to do, and I'm very happy with it. Also, I've done the DIY style. Really, it's just the same thing that Cobb sells for the fuel pressure regulator, and or what do they call it? The stumble fix, I believe. It's just basically custom lines that I made. You can buy this material on Amazon. You can buy the fuel lines and fittings at Advance or Napa. I believe I bought the fittings on Amazon as well, though. You gotta make sure it's the right size and all that. I might do another video on that. And it's also using the older style STI fuel pressure regulator. Now to do this, you also got to relocate the signal line, because that little nub right there where it's blocked off is where it comes from factory, and it's just the right size for it to resonate at 2800 RPM, and you get this weird jittery stumble thing going on. But this was able to fix it, so now I'm tapping off of the bypass valve line for the signal to the fuel pressure regulator, and if you can follow all that, you're in. Okay, so let me just think real quick. I think I got all of that. Now let's go on to the exhaust, okay? So we got the air going in. Well, I guess I could cover the engine management. I'm running a Cobb Access Ports V3 tuned by Bren Tuning. I've been running their tune for a while. I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm pretty sure that these guys know what they're doing. It gets pretty hot down here in South Florida, Boca Raton area, and I don't really have any issues with knock. I really don't. I've seen it hit quite high one time when I reset the learning, but after that it didn't do anything. It hit, I want to say 4.3 or somewhere around there, and after that it's been, you know, it learned, I guess, and it never did it again. So that's for engine management. Now the air coming out, well, I covered this part of fueling. I also have a AM 340 drop-in fuel pump, and that's been working really well for me. Make sure you use both of the gaskets when you install that. Air coming out now, we've got the Killer Bee, if you can see him down there. We've got the Killer Bee Holy Header, equal length, 2-bolt up pipe. There's nothing special about my Holy Header in specific. It's not coated or anything. I may end up wrapping it here fairly soon, because I am noticing high engine bay temps. So we'll see if that does anything. My OEM up pipe broke, so I bought an HKS unit to replace it. And it's got the EGT bung, but I've blocked that off. Now going up, like I said, we've got the stock turbo, but up in here, one thing that I think everybody should get is one of these. It is the PTP, I want to say, PTP Lava Shield Turbo Blanket. It works very well. I actually just drove this and I'm touching the blanket. So if that doesn't speak for itself, you know, I don't know what will. That thing really does its job. I'm very happy with their product. Install was fairly easy. You just kind of get the wire and you fish it underneath the center cartridge, and you twist it up on the other side with the other wire, and you snip them. Very easy, very straightforward. Let's see, what else did I do to my car? Basically what happened was it blew up one time, and you know, Subaru was gracious enough to warranty it. Now that's when I didn't have any parts on the car. It blew up. I had a Cusco catch cam, which did absolutely nothing, and some bolts or some nuts spacing out the catback. That's literally all that was done to it, and it blew up. And anyway, they warrantied it, and now I've got all of this done because my warranty period's up. Stock downpipe, which, like I said, that's why I say it's basically stage 1 plus, because I don't have a downpipe. I do have injectors sitting in my room and an external wastegate, but I have not put those on yet. So stock downpipe, and what I did to the downpipe was there's a secondary resonator. It looks like a cat, but it's really a resonator, and basically your AFR, or what are they? Your lambda sensor. I completely forgot the name of it. It's basically a narrowband sensor that goes in here from factory, and the air flows this way. And I figured if I took this resonator out, it wouldn't affect it. It did not. So we took that out and welded a straight pipe in there with a bung. Now the bung is not for the factory wideband. It is for the AM wideband. Okay, so we've got that in there. And after the downpipe, it's flowing to a Pro Tuning Lab catback, which is just a fancy way to say that it's an eBay catback. And the reason I came to buying one of these things was two reasons. One, it was so cheap, and two, it was what I wanted. It looks good. It's got a 5-inch tip. And yeah, I mean, it does everything it's supposed to do. I was on the fence of getting some muffler deletes for the stock piece of crap here. And then I came across this that's cheaper than muffler deletes, and it's 3 inches all the way through. So I said, you know, why would I get muffler deletes if I can get a whole catback for cheaper? So I said, all right, screw it. It's not that much. It's 170 bucks. I bought it, and it does everything it's supposed to do. I like it. All right, so moving on to the interior now that we've got, I think we've got the whole engine thing figured out. On the interior side of things here, well, before you guys leave, because I know this is the boring part and you can care less, I've gutted the whole entire rear. That's just a tarp back there because I moved things. And I've put a Auto Power Fab roll bar. It's a 4 points full bolt-in roll bar, and I painted it with the same paint that I painted the intercooler stuff with. Same thing with the access port cover. So yeah, interior wise, like I said, AM wideband, cob access port, and here, if I could turn these guys on for you, key start, something my last car didn't have and I like it. I've got the extremely loud gauges. They're Pro Sport, and what I did was I put a little toggle switch here in the SMY gauge pod cluster, whatever, and that's my dimmer. So that's something I did. I didn't want it hardwired into the car. I wanted to be able to actuate that myself. So we've got the oil temp gauge. This is probably a little hard to see. Yeah, oil temp gauge and oil pressure. I don't know why everything is so blurry right now. That's weird. Let me try to figure that out. Anyway, so yeah, we've got that in the SMY gauge pod. We've got an SMY gauge pod up here for the AFR wideband. We've got windshield wipers that are controlled by a ghost. I've got a custom dash cover, and Illuminati makes very good products. Definitely check them out. Matt is a good guy. He owns the business, does a great job, makes great products, and he really does care about what he's doing. I was not paid to say any of this, by the way. Anything in this video I'm not paid to say. So there's your disclaimer. This is all stuff that I like and I will rep. Okay, so it's the Illuminati big ball shifter, and the reason my trans is so loud is because I've got the Illuminati solid transmission and cross member mounts. Those things you'll hear maybe in some of my other videos that I'm going to post here pretty soon. When I'm driving, the transmission whine is insane. It sounds great. To me, at least, it sounds great. It's not intrusive enough to where normal people would be annoyed by it, but if you're a car guy, you'll hear it and you'll like it. So, like I said, I've got the bolt-in cage. I've got a NRG short hub and NRG version 2 quick release on the Grip Royal steering wheel. It's a GT series Grip Royal. Grip oil, and the NRG horn button. It does work. Okay. After that, I've got Sparco 4-point harnesses, and my 3-point harnesses are still functional. I bought a couple adapters and stuff that makes them work, because one of the things that I found on this car is on this passenger side here, the seatbelt is connected to a charge. I don't know if I'll be able to film that for you or not, but there's a charge back there that essentially when you get into an accident and your airbags deploy, the charge fires and ratchets the seatbelt in, tightens it up. Driver's side does not have that. So that's one of the weird things that I kind of found out. But yeah, I made it work. So it does everything it's supposed to do. I've got the OEM mirror with the garage opener stuff. And that's basically it for the interior and for the engine bay. Now for suspension wise, I guess you could say the roll bar is part of suspension because it does stiffen up the rear quite a bit. You can feel it immediately. There's no doubt about it. It works. All right. So for the rest of suspension and braking, I'll just cover braking really quick here. I've got StopTech slotted rotors rear and StopTech drilled and slotted rotors at the front with StopTech Sport brake pads. There's no squeal or anything crazy. Every once in a while I'll get a slight little chirp out of them if they're warmer, but other than that they work perfectly. And whoever balanced my wheels used plastic weights instead of metal ones, and it looks like crap. I'm gonna get it redone. But essentially I've got NK TFR wheels. They're the copper color, and they are 18 by 9.5 plus 45. And I got plus 45 because I wanted to have plenty of clearance. Clearance? Yeah. Plenty of clearance. I'm running Firestone Indy 500 tires. They do have a little bit of radial pull, but other than that, they perform very well. Here's, like I said, drilled and slotted at the front. Now, for the rest of suspension, these wheels are actually a few pounds lighter per than the OEM wheels. So it does, you do feel it a little bit, but it's nothing really crazy. For the rest of suspension, now I've got Fortune Auto 500 series coilovers. It is 10K front, 10K rear. They are fully custom, I guess you could say. Again, I bought those coilovers on clearance from Fortune Auto. They were brand new, on scratch and dent. And I was shocked because, yeah, no pun intended. I was shocked when I got them because the only thing wrong with them was one of the front coilovers, the spring had the smallest little scratch in it. The smallest scratch. I mean, I literally looked at every part of these coilovers and said, oh my God, they gave me brand new ones. And then I got to one that had the smallest scratch on the spring. And I saved like $400, $500 on the set. So they really did everybody some justice by doing that. So I highly recommend going over that. But yeah, these coils run incredibly well. They're not loud, they don't squeak or any of that. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. And yeah, they handle really well, like I said. You can soften up the dampers and it's a really smooth ride, or you can stiffen them up and have a really rough ride. But they really do what they're supposed to do. For the license plate, I've got a custom DMV license plate that you shall not know what it says, but it's a Troll license plate. I painted the tire well for the spare tire black, and I've got Megan Racing. Is that a nail? No, it's a paint chip. Okay, I've got Megan Racing rear lower control arms in the rear, and that helps with camber. Next mods, I suppose I'm going to do the fueling. Drop in those 1000cc injectors and a Grimspeed external wastegate up pipe with a catted down pipe. And that's really it. The only other thing I didn't mention was I've got the brake brace, and that actually does help quite a bit. But other than that, that's really all I'm going to be doing next. Maybe engine mounts, maybe a pitch stop mount, maybe some spacers for the wheels here. If I can get away with it, I might just go another plus 10 on the spacers and call it a day. Do some studs while I'm at it. And I could have ordered these in plus 38, but you almost have to roll, well, you do have to roll the fenders at plus 38. So I wanted that extra amount of control. So I'm at plus 45 now, and if I go plus 10, I'll be at plus 35, which is confusing as hell, trust me, I know. But it would be plus 35, and I'd have to roll them for sure. But I have the option, at least. Only other future thing I'm going to do, probably radiator, some hoses, and another tune, obviously, after I do the fueling and all that. I am going to go through Bren. Bren Tuning does a really good job. Again, I am not paid. I wish I was. I am not paid to sponsor any of the products that I've listed in either the description or talked about in this video. I am just simply doing this because a lot of people ask me, and well, there you go. There's everything that's done to my car. I'm fully transparent about it, and there's no reason for me to be all sneaky about it. It's probably only making about 310 horsepower or so at the wheels. But again, it's because stock downpipe, stock fueling. If I were to do those things, I'd probably be making somewhere around 350. Yeah, I really don't care that much. Stock turbo is pretty limited. Car feels great though, you know, it really does. It feels great. Corners very well. Does everything I need it to do. And it's a blast. It really is a blast going to work and all of that. So that's everything that's done in my car, guys. You don't have to like the video or comment or do any of that, but if you do, it's greatly appreciated, of course. And if you follow me, I will be doing some vlogs. I don't know when, but I probably will in the future sometime. So just look out for those if you're into that type of thing. Only other thing that I didn't mention is, legal limit tint all around. And I'm not sure if the windshield's tinted. I really don't know if it's tinted or not. But it looks good. So, all right, guys, take it easy.